everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike Satterfield with thegentlemanracer.com, and today we're doing a very different video than I usually do. And unfortunately, we're doing this video because the footage I shot for this video, it didn't make it. So unfortunately, I decided to record this one here in my little home office with this microphone that I've only ever used for like voiceover and things like that, because it was such a requested video and we had so many people that wanted to know what it was like to live with the Hyundai Veloster N Performance as a daily driver. So about 2 weeks ago, Hyundai was very gracious and loaned me the Veloster N Performance to drive around Central Texas for about a week and a half or so, and I went down to Circuit of the Americas and drove the car all over. We did some great shots with it and some video, and all that footage, when we popped the SD card into the computer, was corrupt. We only were able to recover like 2 files. I spent the last week and a half trying to find a way to save that footage, but it wasn't working, so I decided to just plug in the microphone, turn on the camera, and give you guys my driving impressions. Now, if you look at my old video that I did at Thunder Hill Raceway when they first launched the Veloster, I was ecstatic about how great the car was to drive at the track. It was a very exciting, fun track day toy, but a lot of people have been kind of reluctant to buy into the Hyundai Veloster because they didn't really know how it handled as far as being a daily driver, and that's what this video was supposed to be about. So I do have some footage of the Veloster from when I last drove it at Thunder Hill, and we did a little bit of stuff around the road, and then I have some overall just kind of stock B-roll footage that we can roll over this so I can kind of guide you guys through what I'm talking about. Now, I had the Veloster as a daily driver. I parked my little BMW, took the Veloster, and I really gotta say, it was a lot of fun to drive. It still was very fun to drive. And the thing I liked most about driving the Veloster was how well all the technology in the car worked to make it a fun driver's car, but to also make it a good daily driver. And that was the main thing. That was kind of the rub. I basically drove it only in sport and track mode out the track, in mode out at the track. And I wanted to see what it was like to drive around, Waco and Austin and in traffic and on the freeway, and to live with it every day to see if it was any good and worth, the price tag. And I gotta say that after spending a week in it, driving it, really using it for everything. I went down to College Station, took my girlfriend on a date in it, went to the grocery store, kind of did everything you do in a normal daily driving situation. And I still really like the Hyundai Veloster N. It really is just that great of a car, and especially at this price point. Now, a lot of people were asking me, we had a lot of questions on Reddit, we had questions on Facebook, I had questions on Twitter, Instagram, where people were messaging me, asking me when they saw I had the car, what my impressions were, what I thought about it. And the number one thing that everyone was asking was, how's it compared to a Civic Type R? And I understand why everyone makes that comparison. They're both small Asian hatchbacks. The Civic Type R, for a lot of people, is like a holy grail car. I like the Civic Type R. I don't really care for the styling as much on the Civic Type R. It's a good car, but it's not... I think it's a little overrated and a little overpriced for what it is. And I don't think the Hyundai really drives very much like the Civic Type R. I've only had a little bit of seat time in the Civic R, but the Civic Type R is... I don't know, it doesn't have the same feel to me as the Veloster. And the Veloster is really good at basically turning the switch and becoming a nice, sedate daily driver, and at the push of a button becoming a pretty capable track car. Everyone likes to compare the Civic Type R, but for me, I think that it drives more like a Golf GTI. And that's a pretty big compliment, because the Golf GTI is like the genesis of the hot hatchback. It is the first one. It is kind of the pinnacle of hot hatchbacks. And I had the Volkswagen Golf GTI Autobahn Edition a few months back, and I was thoroughly impressed with the GTI. You can read my story, my review about that car on thegentlemanracer.com. I was really impressed with that car overall, but it was too much money. I mean, mine, again, was the Autobahn Edition, so it was $48,000, and it had the automatic gearbox, which was very good with the paddle shifters. And honestly, if Hyundai would get a good DSG type of gearbox in the Veloster, they'd have a bigger market for it. I think it'd sell a lot more of them, even though they've had no problem selling the Veloster Ns as it is so far. So now I want to get into the questions that people ask. We had a lot of people submit questions on Facebook and Reddit and Instagram. When they saw I had the car, I had more questions about this car than I did about the McLaren that I drove, which I found really interesting. People are very excited about the Hyundai Veloster N. If I don't answer your question, if I missed it, I consolidated a lot of questions together that were very similar. So if I missed your question or I don't answer it to your liking or you have more questions, please post a comment down below and I'll be happy to try to answer it there. The number one question people had was, since I've driven it on the track, is it only good on the track or is it also a good daily driver? And that's where I really feel Hyundai hit it out of the park, because the car does both things very well. It is fun to drive on the track, it's exciting and dynamic and very track focused, and then the push of a button literally becomes a very sedate standard daily driver. And that's the thing I like about it, is this Jekyll and Hyde personality that they've put into the car, that the suspension is different, the exhaust note is different, the amount of noise, everything changes at the push of a button. And that's something that's very cool. So yes, definitely it is a great all-around car for both track and at the street. So don't let the track performance package, kind of image put you off from buying it as a daily driver. If you're looking for something that you could have a nice daily driver to work in and then hit a button and go up in the canyons and have a lot of fun, this is definitely the car for you. If you're looking for something that you can take actually to a track and have a competitive, fun track day toy, also the car for you. Ride quality was a big question because people are very concerned about the track settings. Now, this is not like an old track car or track focused car where it has super stiff suspension at all times and is pretty much undrivable on the street. If you're driving around in mode, you definitely do feel a major difference if you're driving on the street compared to driving in comfort mode or even just eco mode. So yes, you can drive on the street, just push the correct button so that you're driving in the right suspension setting, and it is more than adequate for driving around every day on the street. Let's see. This was a really good one, and this is a very specific one. I like this one because if you only could have one car after driving this one for a week, would you take a Hyundai Veloster N Performance, a Toyota 86, a Miata RF, or a Volkswagen Golf GTI? Very good question. The Hyundai Veloster, out of that choice for my only vehicle, I would probably actually pick the Hyundai Veloster N. And I'm not just saying that for the fans of the Hyundai Veloster N. I've driven all of those cars extensively. I did a long road trip in the Miata RF. Brilliant car. Absolutely love driving the Miata. It is one of my favorite cars. The RF, especially spec'd out with the Brimbos and the Recaro seats, is a great car. And I got to do a very long road trip in that car in California a few months back. That story is also on the website. But it has an abysmally small trunk. I had myself and a friend of mine who's a photographer, and we couldn't both put our camera bags in the trunk. So the RF, while it's brilliant and fun and great to drive and beautiful and one of the best looking little cars you can get, it's just not practical for your only car. The Toyota 86, I do like those. I think their styling is getting a little tired. For me, you have to do so much in the aftermarket to make that car a fun to drive car, because Toyota engineers the fun out of driving most of their cars. They do make very mundane appliances, and that's kind of what they're great, they're reliable. The 86 is a great platform, but I think you have to build so much into it to really make it dynamic and fun that it's not a good value compared to a ready to go with a warranty Hyundai Veloster N. Now, the Volkswagen Golf GTI is the car that I compare the Veloster N to as most. I like them both. I really like, if I was going to get a daily, I still think I would go with the Veloster just because of price. Most of the GTIs I've seen are quite a bit more as far as the way they're spec'd out at the dealer. So unless you're going to special order one that's bare bones, which is pretty hard to get, I think the Veloster is still a better value as far as what you get for the money and packages and everything like that. Yeah, so out of all those cars, I would definitely go with the Veloster N. Am I going to go trade my car in now that I have currently for one? No, because I really don't like having a car payment. So I'm going to try to avoid trading in and buying a Hyundai Veloster. But if I was in the market and those were the choices, I would take the Veloster N. Definitely with the performance package. You have to get the performance package. So the other question that I got a lot was, what was my favorite thing about the Hyundai Veloster and what was the least favorite thing about the Veloster N? For me, my favorite thing was almost as a personal nostalgia type thing. Growing up in the early 2000s with the tuner community. I mean, Super Street Magazine and Sport Compact Car, and I mean, who else remembers like Nope? I mean, that was the era. I mean, Fast and the Furious just come out. We were all building these hot little tuner hatchback cars. It was the scene that I grew up in, and it had a lot of that kind of nostalgic feel for me to get back behind the wheel of this kind of cool, small, fun, loud little hatchback. So I really enjoyed that. The other thing that I guess I could say I loved about it was just the simplicity of how easy it was to use. So for a non-personal favorite thing about it is anyone can get in the car and figure it out very quickly and drive it very fast pretty easily. So that was one thing I really did like about it. It was not a hard car to figure out. It's, again, very sparse and minimalist and easy to use. So that's probably my favorite thing from a non-personal level. As far as dislikes, there wasn't really much. The rear visibility is terrible. It's kind of what they're known for. It would be cool if there was a little bit more as far as maybe an aero package option or something like that, that, you know, did some more carbon fiber or something like that. But I mean, the aftermarket will fill those gaps, and Hyundai is going to be adding their own aftermarket parts support rollout sometime later this year that'll have all kinds of in-performance parts that you can buy from the dealer and install in the car or from other dealers. So I think they'll fill that gap in. But overall, I got to say, if you are looking for a fun, small, hot hatchback, you have the one car you can buy, you want the track day car, and you want a daily driver, that the Veloster N is a very, very good choice. As always, thank you for watching. Sorry this video is a little different than most of them. Hopefully you guys still liked it and got the questions answered that you had. If I didn't answer your questions, please do, again, post them in the comments down below, and I will try to get to those as soon as possible. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I have a big giveaway that I'm working on. We've got all kinds of cool stuff, and the giveaway includes some really cool Bluetooth headphones from Pirelli, a watch, a lot of gear and equipment and cool stuff from all these great brands that I get to work with, and I really want to share that with you guys. We're going to do that giveaway when I hit 5,000 subscribers. I know it's like a very small goal here to hit 5,000 subscribers, but we are going to give that away to a subscriber. We've already done a couple of giveaways to help us hit our 4,000 goal. We gave away a watch. So I'm going to do another video shortly that's going to show everyone what's in that prize package and what's going to be in the giveaway. And I hope you guys will subscribe. And if you have any suggestions about other videos or other content you'd like to see, again, please send me a message or put it in the comments down below. And as always, check out thegentlemanracer.com. That's where I post all my stories and other videos and other content from cars and travel to watches and fashion. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there. So if you're into anything that's automotive or motorcycle related, check out thegentlemanracer.com. Thanks again, guys.